Today, we will talk about a method known as labeling. This tactic depends on our ability to observe the opponent's words and body language. Today, we will talk about a method known as labeling. This tactic depends on our ability to observe the opponent's words and body language. Though the strategy I shall discuss may seem basic, in my opinion, this is the technique that has the greatest applications in negotiation, manipulation, communication, and other situations. I typically use this technique when things get problematic or tough to handle. I hope you don't think less of it. All right, let's get right to it. The first stage in labeling is being aware of and observing our opponent's emotional state, words, and conduct. And the second step is quite easy. We simply attach a label on a product, similar to a price tag. I'll call it Mr. Angry if it's not close enough, right? As a result, this term will cause our opponents to reflect or pose questions to themselves such as, am I angry or am I not angry? You can try it with anyone. When he gets angry, you ask him as if you are angry, okay? Then that question will take away his anger because, well, he's a businessman, and these guys usually have good self-control. Then, after you speak well or soften, I will apologize, and of course, because he is no longer angry, I will be forgiven. The outcomes are then displayed to you. If we clarify this strategy, in addition to giving our target the impression that he is understood, it offers other advantages for communication and negotiation. It will also provide us with a wealth of knowledge. That's an example of how to use it. Now, let me give you an example of how it should not be used. First, the most common labeling error is beginning the label with I heard or he said, which is essentially a statement indicating that the information you are given was obtained from another person or through another person. Why? Since I heard that when we say that, will irritate the person we are speaking to, making them feel as though they have no privacy and that you are a threat. Therefore, effective labeling occurs when we can get the other person to consider and ask themselves, without questioning who he claimed to be or how he heard about it. After giving the label, you simply remain silent, giving him time to reflect before you ask, even though you discover another label you can use in the process. For the time being, you simply hold it and allow the first label to function before applying the second. Well, under a variety of circumstances, as I mentioned before, it's possible that we need to assign more than one label. So when does this happen? Like in this instance, where we finish the first label and our opponent simply remains silent. It appears that you disagree with the pricing I quoted, which is an example of receiving multiple negative labels. As I previously mentioned, naming unpleasant feelings will cause them to lessen or even vanish. I'll now give an illustration of how to label happy feelings, which is not the same as classifying unpleasant feelings. Positive feelings, for instance, will actually get stronger when we give them labels. I just finished this afternoon. I was fixing my car, and it said it would be at 2 o'clock. I decided to WhatsApp for confirmation when my car was ready, but I hadn't gotten a response by 1 o'clock, so I contacted CS. When I contacted to inquire about the state of my automobile, he answered, "Let me follow up with a mechanic first." Respected, sir. After that, I was left alone for a good 10 minutes or so. I already had the impression that my automobile wasn't finished, so I understood Miss CS wanted to bore me and make me turn off the phone. It was a sweltering afternoon, and I could tell by the tone of her voice that Miss CS was really exhausted. This is a strange labeling approach, but it is truly the purpose to want to complain, and maybe I will get furious. Of course, reading this is experienced, and reading this knows that my car hasn't been done yet, so he knows that I will become upset. I won't say anything to show that I am sympathetic, like I'm sorry, sis, for disturbing you, or that you must be exhausted, when she follows up with the mechanic and confirms it with me. However, I would say, "Wow, thank you very much, sis. It's very kind of you to take the time for me. However, since it doesn't live up to your standards, you will be silent for a little while. Many people will probably assume that I will become upset, or perhaps she will show me empathy so that I can rediscover my heart. at which point she will say, "Yes, sir." The same, but in a softer, more fluid tone. A little period of conversation, I felt that the opportunity was perfect to ask ma'am for assistance in getting my automobile fixed fast. She replied yes and instructed me to pick it up at 3 o'clock. Despite my delay, I made a good impression on Ms. CS, and who knows, maybe the next time I serve, I'll find it simpler to receive the greatest care. All right, perhaps a little more. Remember that the methods I teach can always be merged with one another before I end. The most basic example combines labeling and mirroring. You begin by labeling something appropriately, then you mirror, and label it once more. Continue doing this until you have enough information. That concludes our lesson for today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.